Here is your latest African news update.
I have the honor to address this august body, the United Nations General Assembly, for the first time as President of the Republic of South Africa. It is nearly a quarter of a century since the founding father of our democracy, President Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela, stood at this podium to declare that, I quote, millions across our globe who stand expectant at the gates of hope look to this organization, the United Nations, to bring them peace, to bring them life, to bring them a life worth living. As we mark the centenary of the birth of this great global leader, Nelson Mandela, we are bound to ask whether the United Nations has met the needs and expectations of the millions who stand at the gates of hope. We are bound to ask what contribution the United Nations has made to a more peaceful, more prosperous, and more equal world. More importantly, we are called upon to ask, as we did yesterday during the Nelson Mandela Peace Summit, which was held here, what the United Nations and the assembled global leadership must do to secure lasting peace, reconciliation, and stability across the globe. Allow me to express the deep gratitude of the government and the people of South Africa to the international community for convening the Peace Summit to honor the memory of Nelson Mandela, as well as to advance his legacy. During the dark days of colonialism and apartheid, we drew strength, inspiration, and encouragement from the UN and its charter in our quest for freedom and self-determination. With the support of the UN, we as South Africans were able 24 years ago to bring an end to the nightmare of apartheid. Nelson Mandela led us to freedom and gave us the great opportunity to transform our country. We have now embarked on a journey of transformation, and we are making progress to deal with the ugly legacy of the past system of apartheid. Madiba's vision continues to guide us as we seek to improve the lives of our people in many respects, amongst others through improving the educational outcomes of our youth and transforming our economy that was constituted to serve the interests of a few. We have started a comprehensive dialogue on the question of land reform in our country, which is guided by our Constitution and the rule of law, as we seek ways to ensure that the land is shared amongst all who work it, as set out in our Freedom Charter. Even as our country is going through difficult economic challenges, we have made progress. We are reforming our economy and creating an environment that is conducive to investment, and have embarked on an investment drive to attract $100 billion in the next 5 years. To the poor, vulnerable, and marginalized, the UN today is a beacon of promise in a landscape of doubt. As Africans, we have made significant strides in addressing the challenges that have confronted our continent over many decades. We continue to vigorously implement our commitments contained in the African Union Agenda 2063, which is our collective plan as Africans to rid our continent of underdevelopment, poverty, and conflict, and to improve democratic governance, the rule of law, and the promotion of human rights. We have reached agreement recently on the establishment of an African continental free trade area, which will fundamentally transform African economies, giving rise to a new industrial age on the continent. We are working to silence the guns in Africa by 2020, to bring an end to conflicts that have cost the lives of millions of our people, displaced more, and stunted economic growth and human development. As the continent with the youngest population in the world, Africa has the potential to be the next great frontier for global growth and development. With effective investment in education, improved healthcare, good governance, and greater economic integration, Africa has the potential to develop its productive capacity on a scale and at a rate that will lift tens of millions out of poverty. The youth of Africa are poised to transform their continent. As the people of South Africa, we are committed to be part of this transformation. From the ashes of a system that was described by the UN General Assembly as a crime against humanity, we are building a new democratic nation, united in its diversity. We are working to correct the injustices of our past and to build a society that is free, inclusive, and sustainable. We are pursuing an economic path that draws on the resources and capabilities of all our people to eradicate poverty, unemployment, and inequality. We are determined through our international relations to be a force for progress, for good, for peace, and global equality, and will continue to advance the interests of the African continent and the global South. Allow me to conclude by once more drawing on the wisdom of Nelson Mandela when he said, open quotes, "Sometimes it falls on a generation to be great," close quotes. This is not the generation that will stand expectant at the gates of hope. This is the generation that will change the world. It is the generation of young people that wants to see change. This is their time, and this is their age. Let their greatness blossom. I thank you.
Do you have any African news tips? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to get the latest African news.